Okay, hi. This is my audience. The other two are on the phone. And then let me make sure it's still going. And it is, okay. Alright. So, hello. What defines your happiness? Is it your friends and family? Is it a hobby or an activity? I believe that my happiness is defined by many things, but most importantly, taking the time out of my day to invoke happiness into others. To me, there is nothing that makes me smile more than making people around me smile, even if it's just for a small second. This means giving someone a compliment at the grocery store, holding a door for one of my elders, or flashing a wide smile to someone who seems to be having a rough day. We encounter so many different mundane interactions with people every day, but when someone takes the time to go out of their way to give you a genuine smile, it can be hard not to smile back. Today I'm going to talk about why smiles are contagious and how smiling can improve the quality of your life and the lives of those around you. Let's start with the science behind smiling. So, in this thing I have a picture of a face that's smiling and not smiling, and then we'll talk about this right here in just a second. So, smiling is much more complex than we would have ever thought, but basically it's first triggered by a statement, seeing someone or something, a touch, or even a scent. The trigger is then sent to the brain, which triggers the muscles in our face to create a smile. The entire action only lasts about 2/3 of a second to 4 seconds, according to the website for the Association for Psychological Science. The interesting thing, though, is that the people who see this typically end up smiling back as well. Authors Wild, Erb, and Bartels wrote an article highlighting the idea of emotional contagion and experiment testing this idea. This is basically the concept that when one person has a certain facial expression and another sees it, then they will express the same expression, making that emotion contagious. These people gathered together a group of individuals and conducted an experiment in which they showed a series of faces like the one shown on this screen, and the expressions varied on different levels. Their results were, and I quote, "Viewing faces with sad or happy expressions specifically evoked the expressed feelings in the viewer. This was a fast process taking place within 500 milliseconds. This is one of only many experiments conducted by numerous psychologists across many decades. And now that we have proof they are indeed contagious, let's talk about some benefits of smiling. Whether you believe it or not, when you smile, you are actually benefiting your health and happiness. According to Ronald E. Riggio, PhD, when we smile, we release dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, and neuropeptides. These are a whole bunch of big words that you may have heard before, but basically, when these things are released from our bodies, it makes us feel good. This action and this release can relieve stress, relax our body, lower your heart rate and blood pressure, provide pain relief, act as an antidepressant, or just lift your spirits in general. Riggio goes on to explain that smiling makes you seem more attractive, authentic, and trustworthy in the eyes of others. This makes sense because who wants to talk to someone who's not smiling or has an angry look on their face? So basically, the more you smile, the more likely you are to make friends and have a genuinely positive social interaction with people. Let's continue on to how smiling can affect the happiness of those around you. So, not only does smiling brighten your day, but it can brighten someone else's day too. On Thanksgiving, I had to make a third trip to Walmart, and I was quite annoyed. The parking lot was packed, and due to the fact it was one of the few stores that was actually open. And it felt like everyone times 10 was there. I had to park a bit away from the door and found myself walking next to one of the shops. In one of the display windows, there was a little girl sitting next to a mannequin, and she looked quite bored, as if her parents were ignored her or she didn't want to be there in general. And she looked up and flashed a smile that was too bright to not smile back. So I flashed her smile back and waved as I walked by. I soon found myself walking with a much less annoyed attitude and a smile on my face. Not only had she made the inevitable trip to Walmart a bit better, but I had turned her bored face into one that seemed much happier and content with the whole situation. If you take the time out of your day to make someone else's better, you might find yourself realizing that you have also made your day better too. So what does this all have to do with you? According to Guy Winch, PhD, authentic smiles convey optimism and strong confidence. With this optimism and confidence, you have better success in the workplace or even when you're just out in public in general. Winch discusses this in terms of dealing with complaints, either from the person who's giving the complaint or the person who's receiving it. As a form of management or customer service representative, one can deal with complaints all the time, and I'm sure it can be incredibly demeaning to your whole attitude. If this person addresses the complaint first with a smile on their face and a positive attitude, then they may be able to avoid a scene or argument of some sort around another customer, guest, or client. On the other side of the coin, if the person giving the complaint can recognize that the person they are addressing is probably not the person who created the whole problem in the first place, and put a smile on their face, they may be able to come to a resolution that they like much more. So, how often do you smile? Do you come home and try to spread happiness into your family through your smile? Or do you find yourself with a boring look or maybe even an ugly look on your face at times? During our time together, we have discussed why smiles are contagious and how smiles can improve the quality of your life and the lives of the people that you interact with. First, we talked about the science behind smiling and experiments that have proved flashing your pearly whites to someone gets the same reaction in return. Then we talked about some benefits to smiling, with like lowered heart rate and stress relief, or even acting as an antidepressant. Lastly, we talked about how smiling can affect the moods and outcomes of different people and the interactions that you have with them. Despite what people may think, sending a smile someone else's way can impact their day and yours. So take that 2/3 of a second and send happiness someone else's way. Thank you. Okay, hang on.